All right, so we're back to this thing for a third time. Huh? Third time's the charm. So, anyways, last time on the part two, you saw me with the right with the spool on top and the little bolt on top. So Yoshimura says to put it on the bottom. And I was mentioning about the pressure pushing down. What I didn't think about. Let me move this aside. What I didn't think about was that if looking at this piece here, where this swing arm is and how this bracket, the spool spindle bracket here, it's actually it's not inside the swing arm. It's actually behind it. So when the spool is on the stand and it's pushing up right here, potentially, and this pressure, basically the pressure of the swing arm here is pushing down. Potentially, what could happen is that when that happens, you have pressure pushing down right here that's off center from your pivot point. Basically, this is the pivot point right here, and pressure is pushing on this side. What happens is that it could basically swivel like this, right? So if you don't have your axle, and remember the axle is what holds this bolt here. If you don't have the axle there, and you're on the stand and you take the axle out, it could basically pivot out of this. And if you have the bolt up here, like I had it originally, that bolt won't be able to withstand that leverage of the weight of the bike. So that's why Yoshimura had it down here, so that it has the bolt will have more leverage to hold that. But I personally still don't like just having one bolt there, because I mentioned on the first part one that this fit here, there's a little bit of slop to it. So when this top edge right here is the weight of this swing arm down here is on this top edge, that's about half a millimeter or so of space down here. So basically, if the bolt was down here and it's basically when the bolt's down here and it's on the stand, it's basically being pushed up here. So that puts a little bit of stress on here. It could do one of two things: either indent this point where the bolt is on the tube here, the swing arm, or it puts pressure on the bolt itself, and over time that the bolt will fail, it'll break, right? So I don't necessarily like that, but also at the same time, looking at how close the hole is to the edge here, I would say you have maybe less than an eighth, probably 3/32 seconds of material here where the hole is. And again, if it was just down here, and remember that this right here will always want to swing out, right? There's always this pressure. There's also potentially that bolt, because it's so small and there's a lot of pressure on it, that bolt could either shear from the swinging out motion, or the end here, the material is there's so little of it. This could possibly crack, break, and fail, and it could come out too. So what I decided to do was basically put bolts on both ends. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the bolt on the top first, so that it basically, that way the top of this edge here will seat to the bottom of here of the swing arm. Then from there, tighten that up. Then from there, I will tighten up the bottom to hold the bottom down in place. So that's how I would do it. So I actually went to Orchard Supply and got some hardware. I also didn't like the length of the stock, bolts either. So I went and got some longer ones. So here's the stock, right? The little button head. I couldn't find the button heads, so I had to get hex heads for stainless steel. They had non-stainless steel button heads, but I wanted a stainless steel one. So you see, basically it's double the length about. So I'm gonna use that instead. But also, I didn't just get the bolts themselves. I also got a pack of flat washers and locking washers. So that extra length here, some of that will be taken up by the washers. But it's still even after the washers are in there, it's still it's still longer than the original bolt is. right? So that all makes sense, hopefully. So that's one thing. Other thing is the spindle here. I put it up on top. The bad thing about putting this, or not the spindle, but the spool. The bad thing about putting the spool up on top is that once the stand, it's like a hook, right? So it hooks up right here. It will block your nuts here, so you can't adjust your nuts, right? So so you have to make it so that the spindle on the bottom. So I just took this off instead of having to take the spindle off. I just since I had to take both sides off, I just took it from the other side, and instead of having to take this off, now it's on the bottom. So that when the hook's here, there's still space here for you to stick a wrench in there and stick a wrench in and turn your nuts, right? So have your nuts over here. You could turn your nuts with a wrench, right? Otherwise, you have to get some kind of a deep socket again. But then remember this. There's two nuts. There's a set nut and the lock nut. So a deep socket could it won't be able to hold both of them at the same time, right? So that's why you need to have the box wrench, or preferably the box wrench or the open end side to hold one nut and another wrench for the other nut. So so had to go through this 3 times, but that's okay. That's how it is. The first this is my first time putting this on, or at least this type of spool on. Usually lots of bikes, they have some type of mounting point, either the axle hole or some other spot. The axle hole is that's a bad spot for it, because you won't be able to take the axle out. But some other spot where you can put the spool and you don't have to worry about anything. It's it's just there. There's none of these other problems. So that would be the way that I recommend. So I would say bolt this down first, tighten it up, then do the bottom. But before that, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Actually, I'm gonna tighten this first. Then I'm gonna do this, then I should be done. All right. So thanks for watching. That was part 3. As far as drilling a hole is the same thing, just like the top. You do the same thing on the bottom. All right. Thanks for watching.